first time ever, we are really excited to have with us the funders of this whole study, and that is the U.S. State Department's Bureau of Population, Refugees, and Migration. And so we're going to hear a few words from Amy Schedlbauer, who is the Director for Asia and the Near East at PRM. And before her current role, she was the Director of the Office of Regional and Multilateral Affairs in the Bureau of Near Eastern Affairs, and she served with the State Department in countries across the MENA region, including Algeria, Iraq, Israel, Palestine, and Kuwait. She earned a master's in public policy from Princeton University, and she is a Georgetown alum of the School of Foreign Service, Hoya Saxa. So welcome, Amy. We're delighted to have you here, and please.
Good morning and thank you, and it's really great to be back here on the hilltop and in ICC where I spent so many hours as a student. So the United States is the largest provider of humanitarian assistance worldwide in terms of bilateral provision, and we partnered with numerous international organizations and many international and non-governmental organizations as partners. And the primary goal of our humanitarian assistance is to save lives and alleviate suffering by ensuring that the vulnerable and crisis-affected individuals receive assistance and protection. And we also strive to help displaced persons find durable solutions. And we are proud of our very long-standing partnership and collaboration with IOM and the very good work that IOM has done with PRM funding to support the world's most vulnerable populations. PRM and IOM have partnered for many years to address the complex and difficult situations facing refugees in Iraq. However, in 2014, as you all know, the situation in Iraq became even more urgent as ISIS caused millions to flee their homes in search of safety. I was actually in Baghdad at our embassy. I left in June 2014 as the crisis was getting more severe. And as ISIS spread across the country and occupied areas were liberated, and families often found themselves displaced multiple times, and they faced deep uncertainty about their future, where to go, whether to stay, to return, to move elsewhere. The timing of the crisis and the existence of our partnership in Iraq at the onset of the IDP crisis gave us a unique opportunity. And when IOM proposed, PRM decided to support launching this long-term longitudinal study designed to assess IDP's access to durable solutions, starting from the onset of displacement. And we hope to really better understand how IDPs navigate their displacement over time and what it means to them to achieve durable solutions. In the last few years, the government of Iraq and local and humanitarian actors have undertaken considerable efforts to support IDPs, returnees, and host communities with humanitarian assistance and stabilization assistance. Until this study, though, little really has been known about the mechanisms and strategies put in place by the displaced themselves to progressively resolve their situation and achieve some level of stability. While much work remains to be done, and we look forward to the results that you all discussed today about round 4 and then the results from round 5 eventually, we're very proud to support this work, as well as another important project that IOM does that we fund, the Displacement Tracking Matrix. And I commend that to you all to go and look at online, because it really brings to light exactly where the displaced are, where they've moved throughout Iraq. It's really unique. We don't have the benefit of such a matrix elsewhere in any of the regions I cover with our office. So we know that more than 1.5 million Iraqis remain internally displaced, and many of the more than 4.3 million returnees still require significant assistance. So the results of this study just help us better target interventions. My office provides the assistance that the State Department funds or provides for Asia and the Middle East region. And without sort of studies like this, we can't really target our interventions and know how to ask for funding possibilities. So this is going to really help us in the next few rounds of our funding announcements as to how to ask NGOs and our international partners what they should be focused on, and asking them to look at creating proposals to do that funding. So by understanding the solutions IDPs identify themselves, we can adopt and adjust our support and be more efficient, be more effective, make better use of the U.S. taxpayers' funding, and provide more sustainable responses to IDPs and other vulnerable populations. So lastly, thank you to IOM and to Georgetown for all of your continuing good work on this study, and to the students who've been part of this study in the past and who are part of it now. Thank you for your efforts, and I hope that you go on to do more work in the humanitarian field ahead. So thank you, and I'll hand it back to you, Rochelle.
Another sort of welcome and some words from Luca Dall'oglio. I promised I would get his name right. I'm not sure I did. He was appointed Chief of Mission of the International Organization for Migration here in Washington in October 2012. He serves on the board of the U.S. for IOM, the American nonprofit partner for IOM, and prior to his current assignment, he was Special Envoy to the Director General of IOM in Haiti from January 2010, and he also assumed the functions of the Resident Chief of Mission at that time. He's a sociologist by training, and he's dedicated a large part of his career to issues related to population stabilization, post-crisis and recovery, and he's had extensive field assignments in the Horn of Africa, Mozambique, Haiti, Guatemala, and Kosovo. So, Luca, please.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to say a few words in this very interesting event. First of all, on behalf of IOM, I want to welcome everyone to this event this morning, and also recognize my colleague came from Cairo, but in Iraq for many years, the main researcher. This study deals with a very unique topic, which is crossroads between displacement, data, and deliverable solutions. This is an area that has been increasingly on our agenda, is linked to the efforts to put strategies for recovery in a framework where humanitarian and development actors come together. And I think this study offers plenty of entry points for policymakers to address some of these critical issues. But let me first of all recognize and acknowledge the cooperation that we have with the Georgetown University, the Institute for the Study of International Migration, and the Center for Contemporary Arab Studies. And thank them for hosting this event here at Georgetown University, but also for the 4-year partnership that has been conducted on this longitudinal study of 4,000 displaced Iraqi families. And then, of course, I would like to thank sincerely PRM for the steady support of IOM humanitarian activities in Iraq, and for supporting the specific exercise out of a long-standing cooperation that we have in a project called Community Revitalization Program. This program is giving us the opportunity to carry out the longitudinal studies because it's been going through various phases, and we all deal with issues of projects that have a 12-month span and the difficulties of articulating longer-term response. In this case, I think we had, thanks to PRM, really the opportunity to project our engagement over a longer period of time, and this is an extremely precious resource and approach. So thank you very much for that. In Iraq, as you know, 6 million people were displaced during the conflict with the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant from 2014 to 2017. And although now the humanitarian situation has changed quite considerably, and the number of IDPs has reached a record low, and yet selected vulnerabilities exist and IDPs continue to face immense challenges, whether upon return or still in displacement. Overall, about 1.6 million people remain displaced, half of them for 3 years or more, really meaning of a protracted crisis. And while some have started to settle in displacement, others continue to move, whether as a strategy of coping mechanism or as a forced by adverse circumstances. And as I was saying, to address this complex equation, IOM has been implementing several programs, including the PRM-funded Iraq Community Rehabilitation Program, CRP, that contributes to stabilization in Iraq by improving the conditions for sustainable economic and social inclusion of vulnerable individuals through direct support for their integration in areas of displacement or return, as well as supporting the host communities. This is pursued through support to local communities and relevant authorities to strengthen economies, foster human capital, improve access to basic services, create safer communities, and promote good governance. More than 4,000 households were directly assisted through this program. Reported in Iraq, 4.4 million people have returned to their communities, and approximately 1 out of 10 live in locations where their living conditions are not considered to be adequate, safe, or dignified. 1 out of 10, 4.4 million people, almost 500,000 persons living in a precarious and dangerous situation. Data on return is often limited, and understanding numbers and profiles of those who have found an end to their displacement remains challenging. In light of these circumstances, the study addressed 3 key related issues: displacement within a complex crisis, durable solutions, and the need for better data and evidence-based programming. Since the guiding principle on internal displacement were launched in 1998, 21 years ago, there have been important progresses on responding and finding solutions to internal displacement. However, measuring the displacement experience and its termination remains a challenge, as well as identifying practical common standards for data collection and analysis. This may be translated into elusive and often vague information addressing these groups. 2018 marked the 20th anniversary of the guiding principle, and the year in which the negotiations for both the Global Compact on Refugees and the Global Compact on Migration were concluded. And though IDPs are not addressed directly into the compacts, there is important opportunity for increasing discussions, revitalizing our thinking about IDPs, and action addressing internal displacement. I would also like to notice that in 2016, IOM adopted a new framework, the Progressive Resolution of Displacement Situation framework, which aims to guide IOM on internal thinking and steer action on our partner to frame and navigate the complexity of forced migration dynamics and support efforts to progressively resolve displacement situation. This framework promotes an inclusive, resilience-based approach and embraces mobility strategies that support progression towards resolving displacement, while advocating to safety nets to be in place. This framework has been conceived to address new challenges arising from protracted crises, where durable solutions conditions are often not equally achievable to all groups and in every location and simultaneously, like in the case of Iraq, and where the need to support not only affected individuals but also host communities is recognized and encouraged. In general, IOM is committed to understanding and addressing internal displacement for a more effective humanitarian response to protect internally displaced persons and other vulnerable populations, and provide technical support to concerned governments in this field as well as development practitioners. To this end, IOM is also largely invested in a number of processes at the international and national level addressing measurement and data, including the groundbreaking research that will be discussed today. IOM has been investing significantly in data collection and analysis, gathering and analyzing a significant body of data across topics and regions, mainly through the displacement tracking matrix. Thank you for supporting that. The DTM is a system designed to capture, process, and disseminate information on movements and needs of displaced population. Also, IOM new Global Migration Data Analysis Center, or GMDAC, which is operating out of our office in Berlin, aims to contribute to IOM's overall effort to compile, analyze, and share data on migration. For better data, a multi-stakeholder and cooperative approach is needed, inclusive of academic and research institutions, like the one that made this study possible. This is true especially in the field of longitudinal studies, which are rare, often underfunded, and complex. To conclude, this is one of the first in a few large-scale studies able to provide in-depth insights along the durable solution continuum. We hope that this study will provide important evidence on affected population challenges and coping strategies, entry points for effective assistance and policies, and programmatic recommendations to address the situation of Iraqi IDPs. We wish you all a fruitful discussion, and thank you for your time and attention.